Ketones affect brain function in much the same way as the beginning stages of alcohol consumption. Keto versus 80-10-10. These two extremes, if you will, of dietary possibilities keep coming up. People go, should I be almost exclusively carbohydrate based with just enough protein and just enough fat? Or should I be really high on the fat with as minimal of carbohydrate as I can go and still just enough protein? These two diametrically opposed views on what's the appropriate diet. And we have to look first, I think, when we say what's appropriate diet, what's ideal diet, at ideal for what? What is the end result we hope to achieve? 80-10-10 is a lifestyle diet. 80-10-10 is a conceptual approach to eating that we should quite easily, in my understanding of things, be able to maintain for a lifetime. This is an approach to living. It's an approach that works well for helping sick people get well. It's an approach that works for helping athletes outperform their best ever performances. 80-10-10 is an approach for regaining health, for maintaining health, for sustaining and building the highest level health that I know how to guide you towards. Keto is not designed, wasn't developed for this purpose. Keto is something that happens to human beings when we start to consume our own bodily wastes, when we're going through what's called autolysis, because A, we're not consuming enough calories, B, we're not consuming enough carbohydrate. And I want to look at that and support that a little bit, but keto is essentially a condition where you are failing to thrive. The keto diet approach to living is one where we are failing to thrive. It's described medically as failure to thrive. And when that happens, certain chemical changes occur that might be desirable for some people sometime. For instance, when we go into the state we call ketosis, which by its very name, osis means an abnormal condition. So this isn't a healthy approach to life, to live in an abnormal condition. When we go into ketosis, brain chemistry is affected in such a way that one of the things that almost never happens is seizures. Why it's so, I can't tell you, but we almost never see a seizure when a person is in ketosis. And the way the ketone diet or the ketotic diet got publicized and popularized was because it was being used by medical doctors to help people who are having uncontrollable quantities of repeated seizures and say, you know what, if you're in ketosis, you don't tend to have seizures. So let's put you there for a while we try to figure out something else we can do, a way of medicating you so that you won't also have seizures. And then you can go back to off of ketosis, get out of ketosis, get off the keto diet. The ketone diet, when originated by doctors, was created to be temporary because it is failure to thrive. Without sufficient carbohydrates, the muscles cannot refuel themselves. And so, yes, you lose a little bit of weight because you carry almost 7 pounds of water in your muscles to dilute the 1 pound of glycogen that is supposed to be in a fully fueled body. When the muscles are fully fueled, you carry almost a pound of sugar in the muscles in the form of glycogen, and with it 7 pounds of water. And when you go into ketosis, you have lost almost all, or sometimes all, of the sugar and the water that accompanies it. So wow, quick 8-pound loss. But you didn't lose body fat, you just lost valuable water, valuable sugar, and now you're in ketosis, which means you don't have sugar available to use as fuel for activity. When we're active, in the first few seconds of activity, we're using what's called phosphocreatine, but it's only for 5 seconds, 6 seconds. It's for a burst of activity, like a shot put or a pole vault or something where there's a burst. And then after those first few seconds, we start to use what's called ATP. We use our reserves, and that's only good, again, for 60 seconds, 90 seconds. It's an anaerobic burst, and we kind of push the limit of that. So you're good for 100 meters of running or 300 meters of running, but you're not good for 10 minutes. You can't do it for 10 minutes. In the next few minutes, you can get into an anaerobic debt, and you can burn a little bit of sugar in an anaerobic debt. So if you're going to run a mile, you're in an oxygen debt. But most of the things most people do most of the time, like raking leaves for a few hours, or going for a few hours of walking, or being a runner or a cyclist or a rower or a swimmer, most of these are what are called aerobic activities. And when we do aerobic activities, we fuel the muscles primarily with sugar, glucose specifically, from glycogen in the muscles. If you don't have any glycogen in your muscles because you're in a keto approach to living, well, doing endurance activities, doing what we call cardio or cardiopulmonary activities, these things are really not available to you. You will see even in the leadership of the ketone movement that some of them say, look, and I even ran a marathon while on ketones. Here, let me show you how while I did the ketotic diet, let me show you how I ran a marathon. And what happens is, for the last week before the marathon, they switch over and eat fruit, potatoes, pasta bread, rice, corn, starches of all kinds. They're eating carbohydrates for a week and loading up the muscles with almost a pound of glycogen so that they can then do their cardio activity, eat a little bit of fruit for a day or two afterwards to refuel, and then go back into ketosis, go back into the low carbohydrate diet, which I found very interesting. And you can see several examples of this online, and you can find people who, here's how I ran a marathon on the keto diet. And I go, actually, they ran the marathon on the 80-10-10 diet. They went off of ketosis in order to run the marathon, and then they went back to ketosis. I can't understand. When we realize that ketones being used as fuel in the body leave residue, it doesn't burn clean. This isn't a perfect mix. When we use carbohydrate to fuel the conversion of fat into sugar, this is so clean. There's no waste products at all. This is what we normally do on a 80-10-10, and it's very clean, and we can sense this, feel this, see this in many ways. The energy is easy to access, but when we're using ketones for fuel, when we're converting fat into fuel and not have available carbohydrates to fuel the fire, if you will, it's not an easy conversion. It doesn't happen quickly. We can't access more than about 40 or 50 calories an hour from this process, and it becomes painfully slow. We tend to see if people are on keto for more than a short period of time, they tend to slow down. They become less energetic. They become drawn looking because they're literally consuming themselves, which might be the short-term goal, right? You wanted to lose weight. You wanted to consume some of yourself. And as a short-term goal, fine, but not as a lifestyle, because ketones affect brain function in one way that is almost identical to the way alcohol affects brain function. When you've had a drink, maybe even two if you're a drinker, but certainly one if you're a non-drinker, the first few things that happen as an effect of that alcohol clearly happen, but the person who had the drinks can't tell. You don't feel affected. You don't know you've been affected. We say, oh, I can still drive a car. It didn't affect me at all. But if you actually take a driving test after one drink, you'll do nowhere near as well as you would have if you took the same test before with no alcohol in your system. In fact, the second time you take a test, you should do better, but you'll actually do worse because there's alcohol. One drink and you're already driving impaired. You might not be, illegal to drive yet, but your driving is impaired on even one drink. Your thought process is impaired. Your outgoing personality traits are affected. Your short-term memory is affected. Lots of things are affected. And people can tell when they drink for a few weeks, maybe one drink here and there, and then they stop. They say, wow, I noticed at work I was much better able to focus. I woke up in the morning feeling better, more alive, more alert, more energetic. Lots of good things happen. So when we're using ketones for fuel, this brain chemistry is very similar, that ketones affect brain function in much the same way as the beginning stages of alcohol consumption. You don't notice that it happened. Oh, I feel great. Yeah, but you're acting funny. Oh, I'm not as energetic, but I still think I am. I think this is working. Well, actually, it's probably not. This avoids all of the issues between a vegan diet and an animal-based diet. The animal-based diet has never worked. We've tried it over and over and over. We've tried a high-fat diet for more than 100 years. As a society, we've been doing the high-fat experiment for more than 100 years, and in every way, every time, it has failed us. It's let us down. We've been told, oh, when you cook the meat, it gets associated with cancers. When we eat a lot of meat, it gets associated with heart disease. We know that when there's a lot of fat in our diet, it disables our ability to be sensitive to the effects of insulin, and all of a sudden insulin resistance pops up. We're seeing major disease after major disease pattern happen on a high-fat diet, especially on a meat-based high-fat diet. So I would conclude with, if I have to choose between the 80-10-10 high carbohydrate, low fat, or the keto high fat, low carbohydrate approach, I'm going to go 80-10-10 every time, because anatomically, physiologically, biochemistry, and all other science points to us doing far better. I feel better on 80-10-10, and I know you will too. Hi guys, Dr. Doug Graham here with you today, and I'm just so excited about the Raw Nature Retreat. Harriet Kjaer had the most amazing idea. She's been a student of mine for almost a decade, and and a world-class athlete for much longer than that. And she said, can't we do a raw food retreat in Europe where the entire focus is on helping people build their fitness, their physique, and reach their health goals? Let's really make a fitness retreat. So she's put together Raw Nature Retreat, the best food, the best fitness, the best teachers. I mean, we're uncompromising on this one, and it's the first of its kind ever. You gotta come. I mean, I'm gonna be there, Harriet's gonna be there, we've got a few surprises in store for you. It's gonna be the retreat of the year, I think. It's really something special. And if you're interested in taking your fitness to the next level, you want to reach that physique of your dreams, you want to have a good time in the camaraderie of like-minded individuals, come to Raw Nature Retreat. I'm looking forward to spending really intimate, personal, one-on-one time with you.